All right, man, peace. So as we all know, LeBron James will be a free agent after this season. They're going to talk about some of the prospective teams that he may go to. One of them allegedly being the Philadelphia 76ers. Of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Trust the process. The Sixers, the new pretty young thing, winning 4 of their last 5, and this young bug squad are ready to acquire not just any vet, but the king. According to a USA Today report, the Sixers will target LeBron James this summer. James can opt out of this contract with the Cavs after the 2017-2018 season. And guess what? The Sixers will have room to add a max player to their roster. Stephen A., how much should LeBron actually consider going to Philly?
Well, before Stephen A. answers, let me say this. I believe that LeBron should consider it. I'm sure that him and his team are going to consider every option. But I don't see LeBron going there. Who I would like to see go there if he gets the opportunity is possibly a Paul George. I think that Paul George would fit in very well with that team. I think he fit in very well with that team. But let's see what happens.
He should consider it strongly. I'm told that he's not. I'm told that it's about Cleveland. You hear about the bigger markets, but it's really about Cleveland. But anybody that feels that you are inclined not to believe them, feel free and go right ahead. Because guess what? When I look at Ben Simmons play, and I look at Joel Embiid play, and I look at the fact that Markelle Fultz hasn't even shown up yet, and what he could potentially mean to that squad, and you add LeBron to that mix, Lord have mercy. It would.
I mean, quite honestly with you, the way that the 76ers are playing, they really don't need anybody. They really just need a couple more years of seasoning. They may need a shooter to replace J.J. Redick once J.J. Redick is no longer there, assuming that he doesn't come back, because they will need some shooting. But, certain teams you might just, need to give him a little bit more time in the oven. I need to see what Fultz brings to the table once he gets healthy.
It would be special, but I can't see him departing his hometown or near his hometown in Cleveland, right up the road from Akron, to go to Philadelphia. L.A., something like that, yeah. Houston, maybe. Yeah. I can't see him doing it in Philadelphia, but last night, Maverick Carter was seen with the Sixers owner. Rich Paul was seen with somebody else. A hierarchy within the Sixers organization.
LeBron has a great team. There's no doubt about that. He has a great business team. I don't know about LeBron in Houston, though. I don't think that he would fit in very well with James Harden. You'd have two guys who are really used to dominating the basketball. As it is, James Harden and Chris Paul have to pretty much platoon in regards to who gets the run of the basketball throughout the game, and then they play together in the fourth quarter. If you bring LeBron James into that scenario, into that situation, I don't think that it would bode well for that team. I don't see him going there. I could see LeBron going to a San Antonio, though. I could see that, particularly with his infatuation with Popovich, and Popovich's very shrewd understanding of how to lure certain athletes into his web with a lot of these super liberal rants that he decides to engage in with the media.
These brothers are smart. They are always thinking ahead, and they are all about business. I don't mean this in a negative sense, but as you all know, come on now, we've been watching them. Their loyalty is to what is good business. It's not to all this other ancillary stuff. Now, LeBron James he's the ultimate decision maker. His family, his wife, his kids, his mom, all of that matters. But in terms of what their agenda is, it's finding out what the best business decision is. And I don't think anyone can ignore the possibility of Philly because of what Maverick Carter said just a few weeks ago, which was, ultimately you stay relevant and you are able to market and brand yourself even better by winning.
Winning championships is good business. Doing it in a huge market is good business. Philadelphia is down low, a little bit of a glamour market because it is such a big market. They got everything south down to D.C.
Yeah, a lot of what Max says is true. But also the thing with Philadelphia is that they don't win shit. So they would be thankful to bring a LeBron in, especially if he can win a championship. The 76ers haven't won a championship since '83. The Philadelphia Eagles have never won a Super Bowl. The Phillies haven't won a World Series, I think, since 81, 80? I think since Mike Schmidt. I remember they went to the World Series in '93 when they played the Toronto Blue Jays. I think that was the series where Joe Carter won it. And then I remember that they played the Yankees, I think, in '09, and they lost to the Yankees. So Philadelphia does not have a legacy of really winning. I know in hockey, the Flyers, the Broad Street Bullies. I was trying to remember that code name that they had. Yeah, the Broad Street Bullies. They were pretty good back in the 70s. But Philadelphia, to make a long story short, they don't have a history of being successful in regards to their team franchises. So I'm sure that they would be very happy to have LeBron James there. I just don't think that LeBron wants to go to a team where he's going to have to coach up a bunch of young guys right away. I think that San Antonio would be a more perfect fit for him. At first, I thought that LA would be a very appetizing location for him, but I don't think that he views the team in LA with the Lakers as a place that he wants to go to and deal with a lot of the outside noise that he'd have to deal with LeVar Ball and whether or not Lonzo can develop. But I mean, we'll see. LeBron oftentimes is full of surprises.
And it's a major metropolitan area. It's not far from New York City, where there's a higher concentration of media than anywhere in the world. And when you look at the basketball of it all, LeBron would stay in the easy East. He would team with two super prospects. Ben Simmons is absurdly good, as is Embiid. Those are two. But you have to go back to Shaq and Penny, maybe, when you got guys that young, potentially that good on the same team. Furthermore, shooting would be an issue. Because Simmons' shot is broken, and LeBron is shooting better, but he's not a pure shooter. Right. Embiid can shoot well for big.
But they do have J.J. Redick.
They have Redick 1 year, $23 million. But here's the thing: with that kind of nucleus, all the sharpshooters would want to play with them. So if you need two sharpshooters on the floor with them, they'd get them under market. That's always been the history of the league when you team up with that kind of super team. And LeBron would have a championship window, because as the Warriors' window starts to close, they'd have the best team in basketball.
This is not going to happen.
Nope.
I don't want to see mercenary LeBron.
Yeah, but what other LeBron have you seen over the last 7+ years? The only LeBron that you've seen is mercenary LeBron. And I don't really begrudge LeBron for that. He understands that he's viewed just as a commodity, and he's not going to let the system pimp him. He's going to pimp the system. I see no problem with that. The only thing is that, when you get into the conversation of him versus Jordan, that is a detriment to him in the comparison with Jordan, because Jordan pretty much stayed with the same team and everything was homegrown. So LeBron had to go to another team to win with the Miami Heat, where he had to learn from Dwayne Wade how to be a leader. Then he came back to Cleveland, where he thought he could orchestrate another championship. And he eventually was, with the assistance of the referees and Draymond Green's idiocy. But, those things count against LeBron in the comparison with Jordan. But in regards to his business acumen, nothing but a plus. And I give him all the credit in the world for his understanding that he's viewed as a commodity, as a corporate asset, and he's going to pimp the system. He's not going to allow the system to pimp him.
We already saw this. He left Cleveland to go to Miami to play with peers in Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, a championship pedigree that was there already, set by Pat Riley. Then you go home to run with Kyrie and Kevin Love. LeBron James, if he leaves Cleveland, which I don't think it will be, he will, it ain't going to be for Philadelphia. They're young, but they're not ready just yet.
I agree. That's why I stated that they really don't even need LeBron. If they were to bring LeBron in, of course, that's going to be a tremendous addition and they will become a championship contender. But do you really need LeBron when you have a little mini LeBron and Ben Simmons, a guy who you can season and who you can bring in other players around them and watch them all develop together? I don't really think that you need a LeBron right now. But of course, if you brought him in, that would be a great addition. And they will immediately become contenders to win I shouldn't say win the championship, to come out of the East. But that team is they pretty much have everything that they need. They just need some younger shooting. But we'll see what Fultz brings to the table once he comes back.
Joel Embiid, terrific young prospect. Reminds me of Hakeem Olajuwon. In terms of a both shoulders, step through, shoot the three, big personality. Still a little immature, doing 69 jokes to female reporters. He'll grow out of that. Ben Simmons, you mentioned, can't shoot the ball just yet. Primary ball handler, however. What is LeBron? Primary ball handler.
Agreed.
They both do the same thing. So I don't see that as being a natural fit. He also is represented by Rich Paul, who's basically LeBron James' brother. I get all of the business aspect of it, but I don't think this is going to happen. It's going to be great conversation. LeBron James ain't leaving his hometown to go run in Philly. You know how bad that would look for him?
It's fun to talk about.
I'm not sure if LeBron James cares about how things look at this point. When you get a little older, you start to care less about how things look. You're more concerned with how things are. LeBron is 30, he's going to be 33 years old. I think if anything, LeBron will be concerned with having to raise up another group of young pups. I think that he prefers to be on a team with mostly veterans, guys in their late 20s to early 30s, because he wants to win championships. He doesn't want to have to raise up young guys. We saw the growing pains that he went through with Kyrie in his first year with Cleveland. It took a while for him and Kyrie to get on the same page. And when they finally did, and I mean, one can make the case that they were only really on the same page for those last 3 or 4 games against Golden State in the 2016 finals. Other than that, have they ever really been on the same page?
Talk about when you brought up Maverick, what Maverick said earlier. One thing Maverick said is LeBron hasn't made a decision, but his decision will ultimately be about winning. And this team is not a winning team. This is not a championship contending team, even if you add LeBron James to it. Joel,
if you add LeBron James, they're a team that can go to the finals. I think right now in the East, they're going to be a threat to win 50 games. If they can stay healthy for the whole year and if folks can come back, I believe that Philadelphia will be a threat to win 50 games. They arguably have, other than LeBron, they arguably have the 2 most dominant physical forces in the East in Ben Simmons and Embiid. Now, as far as skill-wise, you have Kyrie. But as far as physical forces, other than LeBron, they probably have the 2 most dominant physical forces in the East right now. They just need some time to mature and develop.
Joel Embiid has played 49 basketball games. Ben Simmons has played like 20. And LeBron James needs shooters around him. If they sign Redick, they've got Covington. I love Covington, but he needs to be surrounded by shooters, and that's not going to happen.
Oh, well, let me interrupt you there. I respectfully disagree. LeBron James goes to Philadelphia. I'm sorry, it's easily Eastern Conference Finals.
Easily.
Thank you, sir. LeBron James goes to Philly. You already have the best big man in the East with Embiid. You also have a phenomenal young talent in Ben Simmons. You have shooting in Covington and Redick. Redick will re-sign if LeBron James were to go there. Redick already works under LeBron James on The Undefeated. I believe that his podcast is affiliated with LeBron James's company. So Redick will certainly come back. That's also the reason why Redick came out and said that he thinks that LeBron James is the greatest player ever. We all know that was a business decision, and that was a very smart comment on his part. But if LeBron James goes to Philly, they're definitely going to come. They're definitely going to go at least to the Eastern Conference Finals, as Stephen A. says, and I believe that they will come out of the East.
Easily, possibly a finals berth.
Easily
with the talent that they have, because that's how great LeBron is. That's the kind of impact. And not only that, remember that when he first went to Miami, Bosh and D-Wade weren't shooters, but everyone wanted to be there. The Mike Millers, the Ray Allens of the world. Because when you had that nucleus, that trio, well, listen, I go in the park, all right? And I'm sitting there, I want to play all day. I need a crew. Jalen Rose come rolling up in there. Let's go. I'm picking him because I'm trying to beat it.
All right, so I got
By the way, Duke isn't shooting the 3 right now, right?
I agree with you. I don't believe it's going to happen either.
Right.
But I'm just saying, this notion that they ain't going to win with him. Oh, no, Philadelphia would
But
be
a lot of this conversation is because Philadelphia is the flavor of the moment. They're actually 5th in the East.
That's right.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Who are the 2nd and 3rd best players in the East? Kyrie and Greek Freak.
That's right.
We're not talking about him going to play with them.
Right. I would say, you're right. I would say, given how good Ben Simmons already, given how good Ben...
Imagine if LeBron went to Boston. Yo, Kyrie would go up and demand another trade.
Ben Simmons already is. He's in that. Ben Simmons could be in that category next year.
Correct.
As a second-year player, we could start saying, Greek Freak probably still ahead of him. He's more experienced, but Ben Simmons starting to make moves on those guys by next year, maybe.
Let me say this, because when I gave my list of the most dominant physical forces in the East, I had LeBron 1, and then probably Embiid and Ben Simmons out. I should also have the Greek Freak in there as one of the most dominant physical forces in the East. I just don't think that, even at this stage in his career, I don't believe that the Greek Freak has the ability to pass the ball that Ben Simmons has. Ben Simmons is an uncanny passer, and he has a great feel for the game. He is going to have to repair that jump shot of his, though, because that's going to be a major problem in the playoffs. It won't be as big a problem as it would be if he was, say, 6'5" or 6'6", because he can pretty much just, go over the top of the defense because of his leaping ability and the fact that he's 6'10". But he is going to have to repair that if he wants to be, if he wants to ascend to the level that he seems to have his sights set on.
But my point is, we're talking about him going to play in Philly because we're infatuated with their young team right now. Not because
And they have
not
money.
just that.
And
And
they
they
have
have
the
money.
money.
That's correct.
So where do you see him going?
I see him staying in Cleveland.
So do I.
To be honest, there's not a
Is
lot
LA
of great
over?
options
Is
for
LA
LeBron
over
James.
now
Like,
'cause
even
Lonzo?
Cleveland isn't a great option. They've got so much money tied up with Tristan, so much
Right.
money tied up with J.R. Smith, which LeBron, all clutch sports people, sort of forced the franchise to do. Kevin Love tied up there. Like, there aren't a lot of great options
We also,
for him.
there aren't
next
a
year.
lot of great options, but we have to pay attention to Houston as well.
We also have to pay attention to the fact that Adam Silver may try to instigate a trade between Cleveland and the New Orleans Pelicans to get that money from Tristan Thompson and J.R. Smith off the books and maybe try to orchestrate some type of trade for Boogie Cousins. Right? Don't be surprised. Or maybe with the Clippers for DeAndre Jordan. They will try to help LeBron out before this season is over.
All right, to see what they can do, to see what their monetary situation is like. Because they got to re-sign Chris Paul because, you know, he ain't go there unless they made him some promise that they're going to take care of him. The man walked away for $200 million. It wasn't just because I didn't want to play with Doc Rivers. You know, somewhere along the line they had to say to him, this $32 million that you got coming, you know, you're going to have a lot.
At some point, LeBron's going to get old, but you guys are sleeping on the LeBron effect on any franchise. If LeBron went to the New York Knicks today, they would likely get out of the East.
I agree with that.
Him and Porzingis and some other complimentary players. LeBron's effect on a team is unlike anyone else's. He could take any team in the East and they're contenders. And if
I agree, and that is why I have him over Kobe Bryant. You know, some of the Kobe Bryant fans, they get mad in the comments. One guy said, so you mean to tell me if Kobe Bryant went to any other team, they wouldn't win 50? No, they would not. Kobe Bryant's history shows you that he needs the right formula. He needs the right coach. He needs the right everything in order for him to be successful. Now, once you get him in the right system with the right coach, the right handler who can, you know, rein him in, then he could be a phenomenal weapon on the court. But LeBron James is he's a game changer. LeBron James is there with Larry Bird, Magic, Michael, Tim Duncan, as a guy where you put him on your team, you're going to win 50 games, guaranteed. Guaranteed. And certain people might say, well, what about Jordan's early career? Well, Jordan came into the NBA and he was put in a position that no other shooting guard had ever been put in. That's why, once again, I have him number one. No other shooting guard, at his size especially, ever dominated the game, not just from a statistical level, but from a winning level when he got to a certain point, like Jordan did. What he did was never done before. It wasn't done by Oscar Robertson or Jerry West, and it wasn't done afterward. Now, Kobe Bryant got to a point where he was able to win back-to-back championships as the lead player. But when you talk about a guy in the Michael Jordan who won basically 70% of his games, even when you include the Wizards years, that's unbelievable. All those other guys, when you talk about a Larry Bird, Magic, Tim Duncan, LeBron James, wherever they go, they're going to lead their team to 50 wins because of how they're able to understand the game on a macrocosmic level. Kobe Bryant, even though he's a very intelligent person, his basketball IQ, sometimes he forsakes for his own megalomaniacal ways. You know, Kobe Bryant is a guy who wants to do everything himself, and you can use that against him. So that's the difference. That's what sets LeBron apart, to get back to the overall point. LeBron, even though you have to play the LeBron system when you have him on your team, that system will allow you to win a lot of games in the regular season and have a chance to get to the finals. With the presumption that he's going to continue to be physically dominant and dominate the floor of the game.
And if you have another franchise caliber player, even emerging, they're going to get out of the East if they have LeBron.
I just want
agree
Henry
with
and
you.
LeBron on the same team. That's what I want.
I agree. Make it Eastern Conference Finals. Make the NBA Finals. But we're not talking about winning the championship.
That's right.
That's right.
And that's what LeBron has an opportunity to do with the cast that he has in Cleveland.
That's right.
I don't know about that, Jalen. I don't know if LeBron has a chance to win a championship with the cast that he has in Cleveland. I think that the recent winning streak that he's been on is fool's gold. Even though I state that LeBron, anywhere he goes, he can get you 50 wins. LeBron is also a guy that when he gets to the highest level and faces teams that understand the game on a high level as a team, because once again, when LeBron's on the team, he's playing the LeBron system. That's the only system that he can play. Now, when you get to the highest level and you're facing a Popovich team or a Steve Kerr team, these guys understand the idiosyncrasies of team basketball. Even though LeBron gets so much credit for being such a team player and a distributor, LeBron is a guy who has to dominate the basketball. And when he faces teams that run a lot of back cuts and movement without the ball and getting a lot of assists in the game, that is going to hurt LeBron because LeBron doesn't deal with stress very well. And when LeBron doesn't know what's coming next, he starts to get stressed out. That's why you see a lot of those games, he starts to cramp up. That's a manifestation of him getting tight because he knows that his system is really only a plan A system. LeBron is not a plan B player. He's a plan A player. All right. If LeBron's brain and his body can't beat you, he doesn't know anything. He can't do anything else because he's not somebody who can revert to another plan. Because for the most part, when he's on the team, he's the coach. So once the LeBron system is not working, he's going to lose. Period.
That's right.
Versus leaving
Well,
the
the
squad.
question is, do you think that cast is going to remain intact after the season?
I think so. If he stays, I think people have underestimated how good Isaiah Thomas is at basketball.
You got to see him back. You got to see what it looks like when he gets back.
Isaiah Thomas is the real deal, and I think he's going to bode well. My question is whether or not he's going to get the money he wants from
Not in Cleveland.
and that's where the problem lies.
The reason he's on the team is he makes 6.8 or something right now.
Yeah, but you can grandfather in his bird rights and everything, and
We are
give
out
him
of
that
time,
contract.
gentlemen.
They want to
do that.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're not going to spend all that money on Isaiah Thomas, man. This is a 1-year experiment. This is an experiment that has been set up by Dan Gilbert to appease LeBron in the city of Cleveland, to give LeBron the best chance to win, despite the fact that Kyrie no longer wanted to play with him. Kyrie also realized, like I stated, that everything has to be the LeBron system. Now, certain people might say, well, how could you say all that stuff about LeBron, but, you say he's better than Kobe? Well, once again, Kobe doesn't even have a Kobe system. The Kobe system is to shoot every time he has the ball. Okay? Even though he had that commercial, the Kobe system, we know what that is. That's shoot 30 times a game, shoot 40% from the field, and, barely make the playoffs, if you make the playoffs. Okay? So that's the reason why you have to have a Phil Jackson. You don't need to have a great coach under LeBron for him to get to the finals. Kobe needs a great coach to get to the finals. That's the difference between the two players. And I'm sure that certain people are going to get upset by that. That's okay. When you look at Kobe Bryant for his career, he's a 43% shooter. I mean, that pretty much is all that you need to see to understand that he does not make good decisions on the basketball court, as talented as he is. People get so upset when I say that he's not in my top 10. I have him somewhere from 11 to 15, and that is a tremendous compliment. All right? He's in there with Isaiah Thomas and Moses Malone, Dr. J, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, John Havlicek. Like, there's a lot of different guys that you could consider for that area, that span of 11 to 15, 11 to 20, around that area. People don't understand Johnny. It's just amazing. You have a guy like John Havlicek. Guy scored, 24, 25, 26,000 points, something like that. One of you brothers could look it up. Won like 7, 8 championships. Led the Celtics to 2 championships. Nobody ever says, oh, well, he's second greatest ever after Jordan. People don't even know who the hell he is most of the time. You got a guy like Kobe who scored about 32,000 points in the 3-point era. He led his team to 2 championships. He won 3 others. And everybody tries to say, I shouldn't say everybody. Certain people try to say that he's second to Jordan. No, the NBA started before Kobe Bryant came into the NBA. It started before Michael Jordan came into the NBA. You have to consider the accomplishments of all these other great players who came before them. Okay? Jerry West and Elgin Baylor and Dr. J and Moses Malone, Isaiah Thomas, all these guys who also accomplished great things. They're in that area with Kobe Bryant. When you're talking about top 10, you're talking about guys who you can consider the greatest at their position. That's just those are my barometers. Those are my parameters. Okay? But anyway, we'll see what happens with LeBron after this season. I don't think that it's as clear what he's going to do as it was early. I think that whether or not he stays with the team will be heavily dependent on what occurs in this regular season. So we'll see. At one time, I thought that he was definitely going to go out to L.A., but I think that was heavily dependent on what ball was going to be. I think that he looks at the L.A. situation and sees a lot of confusion, and he doesn't want to be bothered with that. The Clippers situation is done. So I think that right now LeBron is looking at either staying in Cleveland or going to San Antonio, because that's the only team that I believe he trusts will have a reasonable opportunity to beat Golden State. But anyway, peace.